What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to be jumping in with a huge breakdown of all of the things that are going to be changing between year 1 and year 2 of Destiny 2. So we're going to talk about the gear that is going away, that'll become unobtainable or obsolete, the stuff that you'll be able to keep, the stuff that you won't be able to keep, how our mods are changing, how we'll be able to get new currency and new mods, important notices about weapon slot changes and things that are actually going to be changing on gear that you currently own. We're going to be talking about gear that's retiring, the currencies that you can keep, the currencies that you can't keep, and how some of that is going to change, what is going to happen to Masterwork gear, and I'll be breaking down some tips and things worth knowing in order to prepare for Forsaken while you take all of this other stuff on board. So a lot of stuff to break down in the video, guys. If you do enjoy it, a like below is very much appreciated. If you find that you enjoy the content, feel free to hit that subscribe button to see a lot more Destiny 2 stuff, but let's get straight into it. Like I said, there is going to be a lot of stuff to talk about in this video. We'll try and break it down in the most logical order. First up, what happens to our mods? Well, of course, we know that we'll be getting new mods in the Forsaken DLC on September 4th, but on August 28th, the mods that we have right now will become obsolete. So what does this mean? Well, firstly, the old mod slot on gear is going to go away altogether, and this means that any mods you have on gear will disappear. Elemental mods will simply become the element of the weapon, so that's going to be tied to the gun and not to the mod, and you'll no longer be able to apply a mod to the slot. Any mods that you have will be able to be deleted, and in return you'll get materials and parts. Game Informer previously said, with your current mods becoming obsolete, you'll be able to make a quick run to the gunsmith who will take your old mods and trade them for components to make new ones. So hopefully the materials that we'll get from the mods will be useful for obtaining some new year 2 mods. But for now, in the transition period, just bear in mind that on August 28th, the mod slot will go away. Further on the subject of weapons will be changing slots by force. Super over the top, but how is that going to work? Well, of course, we have weapons moving to kinetic slots, secondary slots, and going all over the place. The weapons you can see on screen right now will move to the kinetic slot. But there's something very important to note regarding these slot changes. Before the update on August 28th, be sure to leave a few free weapon slots, vault, and postmaster slots. So the game is actually going to move around a bunch of your weapons while the update happens, and you'll need to make sure that you don't have a full inventory in postmaster in order to avoid losing any weapons. For instance, if you have a full secondary slot and a full postmaster on a character, and your masterworked 10k kill main ingredient tries to move into that second slot and has nowhere to go, that could actually be an issue. Bungie say that in this case it would go to the postmaster, but of course if your postmaster is also full, you could actually end up losing a weapon, literally in space and time. So make sure that you have slots free for all of the stuff in your inventory to freely move around. As we go into year 2, a whole bunch of gear from various vendors will be retiring. So all vendor and faction weapons from year 1 are retiring from rotations, which means that there is no guarantee you'll ever be able to acquire these weapons again. Some of the weapons will of course be updated, like the better devils that we've seen, and these will get full year 2 treatment with random rolls and new mods, but they will be brand new drops that you'll need to pick up again. You cannot upgrade a year 1 devils to a year 2 devils. You'll start fresh, just like you never had the weapon before. But for everything else, the following weapon and armor set groups will no longer be obtainable. So year 1 Vanguard, Crucible, Gunsmith, Ikora, Trials, Iron Banner, and Cade Stash emblems will all be going away. I should note, you will still be able to keep these pieces of gear, these rewards that you have in your inventory. It's just the case that you'll no longer be able to actually obtain them. I should mention though, that all rewards from Pinnacle activities like the Escalation Protocol, the Nightfall specific loot, and raids, as well as raid lairs, will still be available via the year 1 activities themselves. But they will of course presumably drop at those year 1 levels. Now though, we're going to talk about materials, currencies, tokens, reputation, and everything that is about to change, as well as some stuff to bear in mind in order to prepare for these changes. So destination materials will become the main source of reputation for destinations. Probably more importantly though, these destination materials will also be required when you infuse gear, and this will be the common destination materials. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but destination tokens are going to be going away, so they will no longer drop. However, any that you have right now, you can still keep and turn in for reputation, and that will work in year 2. The challenges on destinations that you see on this side of the screen, they're actually going to go away, but they will be replaced by destination bounties, which can award these destination materials that we'll need. Now, like I said, these materials are going to be much more important to obtain when it comes to infusing gear. It's going to be a bigger decision because it requires a lot more currency and time to actually do. You can collect destination materials right now in game though, so if you have some time and you do want to prepare, it'd be worth collecting some ghost shells that have destination material trackers on them, and these generally work for different planets, so locate resources on Io or Mercury or whichever other planet. You have to check out the perks on the ghosts, and you can kind of loop around in different areas collecting these. We will, however, have more drop sources for them inside of year 2, so DMG said there will be a few more sources. Materials will be granted by collecting resource nodes throughout the destination, opening chests, and completing patrols, bounties, and adventures. What's going to happen to gunsmith materials? Well, they're still going to be the main currency moving forward, so you can keep and use everything that you have right now. However, the cost for reputation packages will be increased to 100 materials per package. So we're going to be spending a lot more to actually get these packages. So these materials are of course a great thing to have. They're going to be one of the main sources for general random rolled legendaries moving forward. Vanguard and Crucible tokens will move forward and will still be the main form of reputation for these factions. So when it comes to the Vanguard or Crucible, they're more or less going to operate exactly as they do right now. There will be no major changes to their reputation system. Also, the same thing for the Iron Banner, and all of our tokens will move forward into Season 4 and reward new gear, so they're totally worth keeping. What about Trials of the Nine and Faction Rally tokens? Well, according to Bungie, they can be kept for now, but cannot be redeemed until either of the events return. Both Trials and the Faction Rally will be on hiatus for a few weeks at the launch of Season 4, and there are no promises about what will actually happen to their rep systems or currencies because they are being reworked. It does, however, seem pretty likely that Bungie will still convert these materials if the systems do change, so for now I'd say hold on to Trials and Faction Rally tokens until these events resurface. When it comes to the Faction Rally catalysts from Season 3, maybe you ran out of time, maybe you decided not to grind away for them in the Faction Rally, but Bungie say for players who are unable to acquire the exotic catalysts during previous Faction Rallies, we are working on new ways for you to earn them. They will not be available at the beginning of Season 4, but we will provide more information on where to find these rewards when they do become available. So Sunshot, Sweet Business, and the Graviton Lance Catalyst will still be available in some form during Season 4. I should mention that other Year 1 exotic catalysts, or catalysts available right now, should continue to drop in the same ways as far as we know, so pretty much everything else won't be affected. Ikora's Vanguard Research tokens. These are being completely retired from the game. So heroic story missions will replace the current meditations, and on August 28th, these tokens will literally just vanish from your inventory. So if you do have any, your best bet is to turn them in now. Bungie have also said that Ikora's legendary parade sets will also stop dropping on the 28th, and then they will become completely unobtainable. So if you want any of those pieces, you need to get them now. Maybe like me, you've got a few Leviathan raid tokens. These will not be going away as far as we know, and they will still be able to be used to get Year 1 gear at Year 1 levels inside of Season 4. If you do have a bunch though, and you really don't want them, you can use them right now to get raid gear by turning them in for packages, break it down, and get gunsmith materials, which could be a pretty useful shout if you've got a lot of them. Let's talk about Masterwork Cores and upgrades, so we can keep all of the cores we currently have. In fact, I encourage you guys to get as many as you possibly can. We know that to upgrade a tier 10 Masterwork, it needs around about 17 Masterwork Cores, so it's going to be a lot more expensive. Bungie have confirmed that there will be changes to the currency and new ways to obtain cores somewhat predictably, so we should be relatively good on that front, but I have seen a lot of questions about what happens to our current Masterwork gear. So we don't actually have any official word as far as I know, but we know that none of the Year 1 weapons will lose their Masterwork, so it seems likely that Year 1 weapons and gear will keep the Year 1 version of the Masterwork that they already have, and the new gear will unlock the Year 2 Masterwork system. The only other thing I can say on the subject of Masterwork Cores is to get as many as you can right now. Save everything that you get dropped. You can also keep the cores you get dropped when completing Masterwork objectives on the Solstice armor, which you can opt to keep. I can't promise that the upgrade nodes for the Masterwork itself will remain in year 2, so that is worth mentioning. I personally would guess that it'll still be a thing, but that's anyone's guess right now. A brief notice about weapon elements. You may want to save weapons of particular elements that you want right now. So any weapon from year 1 that you modify with a certain element will be able to keep that element. However, all weapons will drop with a fixed element moving forward. So if you wanted a guaranteed Void Uriel's gift, then you need to make one right now. I recommend grabbing some fast firing Void shotguns like Zenith of Your Kind or something, as a couple of the weapons are going to be tractor cannon proofed. So the Ikelos shotgun and the sniper rifle will be fixed to solar elements, even if you change the element now. And Bungie say this is to stop it stacking with the tractor cannon, so you can probably see where I'm going with grabbing other good elemental shotguns just in case. For the new fixed elements though, there is a full list of the current base weapon elements in the database, and it seems likely that the weapons you're seeing here will be dropping with the elements that they're listed with. So I will link that Reddit post down below in case you want to upgrade any weapons with alternate elements before year 2. Let's mention Cade's treasure chests very briefly. DMG said if you have a map in your inventory, the chest will be available even after the update on the 28th, but it will grant the same rewards you're used to. However, odds and ends will no longer be redeemable for Glimmer, so that's a minor thing to note. Here's some brief preparation stuff then. Of course, you want to get as many materials as you possibly can. Planetary materials are going to be very good for infusion. Masterwork cores are going to be very good for upgrading stuff. Having as many Vanguard and Crucible tokens as possible is always good. Gunsmith materials, it's generally pretty much the same thing when it comes to DLC prep. Have as much of everything as you possibly can, of course with the exception of the few things we listed which are completely going away. A couple of additional tips. It may be worth doing some weapon and armor inventory clearing. So if there are any year 1 weapons that you have now and you really don't care to keep, you don't want to keep the element or whatever, then you can safely delete them as they will be tracked in the collection in year 2 according to Bungie. So you could actually also farm out a few Masterwork cores and materials by deleting anything that you really don't need or want. But of course this is only if you want to do that. It will also improve your vault space a little bit. I might actually go ahead and delete a few things. We should also mention that Season 2 gear is going away, so PvP rewards from Valor as well as Glory, so that includes the Redrix's Claymore, they will no longer be obtainable. You've got the Vanguard seasonal rewards such as the exotic ship and the weapons. Iron Banner gear of course, which we mentioned. There is another Iron Banner next week after this video goes live. If you're still finishing up any content, you want to get it done before Forsaken, D2 checklist can actually be very, very useful. So whether you are looking for sleeper nodes or latent memories, whatever it may be, collecting gear or completing activities, D2 checklist pretty much has everything in the game, especially when it comes to the activity and content side. You can also use Destiny sets if you want to track more of the gear stuff, which weapons, armor you've had dropped. That's very good for the collection side of the game. So those are 2 little shouts for some pretty useful tools. But guys, there we go. That sums up the video for today. Hopefully this one has been useful. I've pretty much listed all of the more important stuff when it comes to moving into year 2 from year 1 and the changes that'll be happening. So hopefully it's answered a few questions. If you do have any other additional questions, definitely drop them in the comment section. We can try and help each other out. And it also informs me of things to find out for future video content as well where possible. So definitely worth doing. But if you have enjoyed the video, a like is super appreciated down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. Check out my sponsor Now Drinks, who do some really awesome drinks designed for gamers. Now Drinks are designed to be the healthier option, and Now Drinks Sense is packed with vitamins, L-theanine, lemongrass. You can save 10% using code Houndish in their store in general, and you can get 45% off the starter pack using the link down below for this weekend. So check that out if you're interested. For now though, I super appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will catch you very soon.